And I do not know who of our colleagues who scooped or leaked our conversation to this
First
media.
on the list, Senator Robin Padilla.
Christopher Bongo, Ramon Bong Revilla Jr., Ronald Bato de la Rosa, Jingo Estrada, Lito Lapid, Francis Tolentino, and Cynthia Villar. They are putting us in a bad light. We had an all senators caucus, and we discussed lengthily the budget of the Republic of the Philippines. And just before we entered this August chamber, much to my dismay, and much to our dismay, there was a news report that identified 8 or 9 senators, and there were names on that list. 8 or 9 senators who wanted to restore the confidential and intelligence fund of the Vice President and the Department of Education. And I wish to tell the people of the Philippines that there was no votation that happened yesterday with regard to the intelligence fund of the Vice President and the Department of Education. In fact, we had an executive session. I have been a senator here for more than 10 years. And this is the first time that I encountered a scoop or a leakage. I do not know. I do not want to name names. This is a violation of our rules. And the majority floor leader will expound it later. Mr. President, we discussed lengthily for almost 2 hours the schedule, etc., of the budget of the Republic of the Philippines. We never touched or we never voted with regard to all the intelligence fund or confidential fund. In fact, we agreed unanimously to remove all the confidential and intelligence fund, not only that of the Office of the Vice President, including not only that of the Department of Education, but all security or civilian agencies na merong confidential and intelligence fund. Mr. President, nawala. I will just read. Sino mga pangalan? First on the list, Senator Robin Padilla, Christopher Bongo, Ramon Bong Revilla Jr., Ronald Bato de la Rosa, Jingo Estrada, Lito Lapid, Francis Tolentino, and Cynthia Villar. They are putting us in a bad light. And I condemn this. And I take offense on this. Nakalagay pa, Senator Pia Cayetano is said to be supportive of reinstating Duterte's confidential funds if she can justify the need for them. This is not true. And I hope Senator Pia Cayetano will agree with me. Just for a while, Mr. President, tinahanap pa ni Senator Robin yung mga nakasulat. Mahina raw yung wifi.
Ano ba tayo dito? Converge, PLDT, Secretary. DICT. Naku.
Mr. President,
Please proceed.
thank you, Mr. President. And if I may quote, Anis Cooper told this media outlet that Senators Sani Angara, Francis Escudero, RAFFY TULFO, Aquilino Pimentel III, and Risa Ontiveros are allegedly against the reinstatement of Duterte's secret allocation, which are lodged under the Office of the Vice President and the Department of Education. Mali-mali po itong report, Mr. President. And I think Senator Angara must not be included in this list. And among the offices, Duterte's allocation was part of the 1.2 billion in confidential funds that the House realign two agencies focus on the West Philippine Sea. Mr. President, tumayo po ako dito dahil masamang-masama po ang loob ko. I really felt insulted. And I think my other colleagues here also felt the same way, Mr. President. And Mr. President, I stand before you and I want to make this recommendation, maybe to talk to this media outlet or to summon this media outlet and ask them, who among us violated our rules? Who among us leaked what transpired in our executive session yesterday? That's all, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Jinggoy. Before I recognize the other members, I'd just like to put on record, I too am very disappointed. I have been a senator for 4 plus 6, 10 plus 2, 12 years, and a member of Congress for 9 years. And when we say executive session, we are bound by rules of both the House of Representatives and when I was in the House of Representatives and rules of the Senate when I was elected as a senator. Before I recognize the majority floor leader on the repercussions of violating that rules, I would just like to put on record as well that we had a healthy discussion. There was no voting that took place. There was a healthy discussion on how we will treat this budget, particularly on the confidential and intelligence funds. It's not fair to say that one group was for this and one group was for that because in the end, tama po sinabi ni Senator Estrada, we were unanimous in the committee report that the good gentleman from Aurora will be presenting today. We are in full support of his committee report. Now, I am very alarmed. As a matter of fact, that's why we were late. I usually try to start at 3 p.m. We had a meeting with the leadership, Senator Joel Villanueva and Senator Lauren Legarda. We met because of the implications of leakages during executive session. The executive department and very sensitive agencies of government may no longer divulge information.
Nice.
Our distinguished colleague from Davao, Senator Christopher Bongo, is recognized.
Mr. President, I rise to co-sponsor Senate Bill 2451 or the proposed Ligtas Pinoy Centers Act. I congratulate the sponsor, Senator Jingo Estrada, for coming up with a comprehensive bill that seeks to establish safe, permanent, and dedicated evacuation centers in every city and municipality in the country. It will also be responsible for providing the immediate assistance and basic needs for our evacuees of people displaced from their homes due to disasters, calamities, and other emergency events. Bilang isa sa mga author ng panukalang batas na ito, importante po na mayroon tayong nakahandang maayos at malinis na evacuation center sa buong bansa dahil maaring mangyari ang sakuna sa anumang oras. Tinatamaan nga ng bagyo, alam niyo, tinatamaan na po ng bagyo. Mga kababayan natin, nagsisiksikan pa sa mga temporary shelters. Kasama na po dito yung mga vulnerable individuals like children and senior citizens. Nakakaawa ang ating mga kababayan. Sa kaikot ko po sa buong Pilipinas, mga nasunugan, putok ng bulkan, lindol, bagyo, sunog, no? At buhawi. Kadalasan dyan ay dinadala sa mga evacuation centers at talagang kawawa yung mga kalagayan nila. Walang komportableng higaan, walang comfort room na malinis, mas vulnerable sila sa sakit, lalong-lalo na yung mga bata na walang komportableng mahigaan man lang, pahingahan. Huwag na natin pahirapan ang mga kababayan nating mga naghihirap, bigyan natin ito ng solusyon bago pa dumating ang panibagong sakuna. Bilang isang senador na first-hand witness ko talaga sa kakaikot ko po sa buong bansa. Nakita ko yung kalagayan ng mga kababayan natin na napipilitang lumikas sa mga hindi angkop na lugar gaya ng basketball court, covered court, eskwelahan na naantala pa po ang pag-aaral ng mga bata dahil nagagamit po yung eskwelahan bilang evacuation centers, plaza, minsan sa gymnasium at iba pang pansamantalang nasisilungan. Hindi lamang ito nakakaapekto sa kanilang kalusugan at kaginawaan, kundi sa kanilang kabuhayan po sa kanilang komunidad. Naantala rin ang pag-aaral ng mga bata tuwing nagagamit po ang eskwelahan para sa evacuees. Kaya dapat sana mayroon tayong nakahandang permanenteng evacuation centers na may malinis na sanitation at komportableng mahigaan at matutulugan at may maayos na comfort room. At mas maagapan natin silang magkasakit. Dapat may sapat na emergency packs tulad ng maayos na tulugan, tubig, gamot at iba pang mga relief goods na nakahanda na ito kahit wala pa yung sakuna. Matagal ko na po itong sinusulong, Mr. President. Now is the best time for us to be ready for any calamities and emergencies. With that, I reiterate my intention to co-sponsor this measure